Nigeria, in many ways like Ghana, are very demanding when it comes to their national team players, more so from the leaders of the national team. And so in the past, they've always demanded someone with personality, someone with character, beyond just the natural ability to actually play on the pitch and be the best player of that team. And I think that in Troost-Ekong, they have found someone who embodies everything that a Nigerian leader has to have. Yesterday, when he scored that goal, I described him as a warrior because up until the Seb Halef goal, he was winning every 50-50 ball. He was first to every cross, headed each of those away from harm's way. When his teammates made mistakes, he could encourage them. There was a moment that I thought was very touching when Nwabali and then Simon Adingra got into that altercation. Later on, the appeal for a penalty when Max Gradel went down under the challenge from Ola Aina, and Nwabali got a bit upset that he thought Max Gradel was play acting. He went there to try to calm things down. He had the presence of mind to read that situation and realize that if he did not de-escalate the situation, the youthful exuberance of someone like Stanley Nwabali could push him into saying something, doing something that in the spur of the moment may throw a spanner in the works of what till that point had been a very disciplined, very good performance from the Nigerian team. So he checks all the boxes. In terms of the emotional intelligence a leader ought to have, he has that. When he has to show that personality and strength and drag his team on, pull his forces together and mobilize them forward, he's shown that. When it came to the simple job of defending, he's embodied that. And we simply cannot forget the important goals that he scored in these tournaments for Nigeria. And at each stage, each goal he scored has been super crucial. The goal in the group stage, the goal in the final itself, the penalty shootout versus South Africa, he showed that. And for me, it's only goes to prove that this is someone who made a deliberate effort to understand what it means to play for Nigeria. Because if you didn't go through the mill, if you didn't play football in Nigeria, if you didn't play for all of the national teams, the character of the national team is something you simply will not have. It's not something you can manufacture. It's not something you can wish into existence. You have to be taught. You have to be told what it is that is expected of you. But even more importantly, it is something that you have to experience to be able to reflect it when need be. And that is one thing that, unfortunately, a lot of the federations on the continent have not been able to do, which is help our brothers and sisters who, even for those who were born here, didn't really spend too much time in the national teams and so did not have that education. And so when they get their call-ups or for those who need registration or naturalization to play for the country, when that process is concluded, we ought to take them through a period of acclimatization, right? Just so they can understand what the people expect of them and what it means to wear the national team and what values you have to reflect when the match starts, when you are around the national team. And I think that the successes of Troost-Ekong, you might want to extend that to Ademola Lookman, who earlier in his career was given the opportunity to play for Nigeria. He turned his back on them. Later on, they had to call a truce, and he made the decision of coming to play for Nigeria again. They have managed these situations such that, yes, there is an admission that some players may have said no, may have spat in the face of the country in the past, but there is an admission that that decision may be, with hindsight, may not have been the best of decision, and that the need for efforts to be made to ensure that they bridge the gap between those who may have been offended by that decision in itself, by the conduct in the past, and just to essentially create an enabling environment for those players to come in and then thrive. And while we say that there are many things undesirable about the way football federations on the continent are run, maybe Nigeria themselves, this is one area where they seem to have aced it, because you have young players who spent, years and years in the UK, in Italy. Ola Aina is an example. Chelsea, Torino, I'm not even sure until about 5 or 4 years ago he had that many games for the Super Eagles. But over time, in this tournament, for me, is when he's really shown himself when the chips were down, when a lot of people did not have faith in the Super Eagles. They are the guys who have shown up and excelled for Nigeria. There's AFCON. So you're talking about Ola Aina, you're spoken about Troost-Ekong, Ademola Lookman, Simon Moses, Emmanuel Denise even in the past, and all of these boys who have come in. And so even in the face of defeat, there are very beautiful storylines that Nigeria can look at and be happy, except that there is nothing that can compensate the AFCON loss.